Hi, welcome to King of Sobriety. Well, you're already here, so that means you're having second thoughts about the way and relationship, if we can call it that way, you have with alcohol. It's taking probably anything from you already. Your money is never right, your life is never right, anything around it is not anymore right. Trouble is only every time when we hear anyone says about stop to drinking, quitting, not doing it anymore, just stop doing it and you're gonna be fine and your life will change totally. You just have to take this one thing away from your life. Well, yes and no, because if we're gonna hear anybody speaking about it, majority cases they telling you like, you just stop doing this, you go for the therapy, or you go with some kind of a my way myself doing it. I will stop for a certain period of time, then I'll be fine. You eventually will get better. But the truth is, there is much more than meets the eye. A lot of stuff will change in your life, and it will create probably other difficulties, other challenges, other problems, and you will have to face them. But at this time, you're not gonna have anything for you to kind of take the ease or help you out with it because you're stressed, your emotions, your anxieties, problems, whatever you want to call it. This time, you're not gonna have a chance to use it to take the ease off. So you have to try to kind of learn it again how to live. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna cover things like they've been never said, right? No one is actually talking about that stuff because in majority cases we're listening about people saying, you just stop, you don't do this, and then everything's gonna be fine. But on the way, there will be way, way, way more things that we don't see, but they will definitely happen. For the starters, the first thing is always, which is gonna have a huge effect on us, it's our home. If you're living by yourself, well, that's a different story. You will see kind of a progress going yourself. But if you are living with others, like family, kids, partners, wife, husbands, whoever that's gonna be, this is not always the change for you. That will be something like change for them as well. It's just because you can imagine, like, so far, if I was like kind of a heavy drinking person, for instance, not really taking care of whatever happens around the house, or maybe you just did whatever you're supposed to for the minimum basics for your family, but you've been more actually involved in drinking because all your day or evening or whatever the schedule you have was actually around the alcohol. And we know this. We waking up in the morning, we know that we have to do the shopping. For instance, if that would be like Saturday, right? You know that you got to do the shopping or you have some chores, things to do, but technically speaking, you're pushing all your day around the alcohol. So you can't wait when I'm going to drink. So technically speaking, I would like to do everything as fast as, tip top, push, 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 bottle, everything's done. So then I can continue and start doing what I like as most, which in that case was always drinking. So that reality will hit them people who's they living with you. Because let's say that so far you didn't really care about the things or you just done your basics, but now you're gonna be engaging with their lives a little bit more than used to. So suddenly from the person who didn't care, now you're coming up to be the someone who's being, let's say, more involved in your household, in their lives. So kind of you are integrating more, and then for them that will be a little bit of shock. So that's one of the changes that will be happening. Plus, sometimes some people have been hearing from their partners that they like them better when they've been drunk. Yeah. Taking in perspective that you're thinking that the people will be standing behind your back and they're going to be kind of trying to help you with your problem or whatever the way you're going with it, happens to be you changing your reality, but automatically their reality being changed as well. And some people don't like much changes or sudden changes because in most of the cases with the alcohol, we majority cases we're talking about sudden changes, but them sudden changes are for everybody and they don't have a time to adapt. you don't have the time to adapt because you have to do your changes quickly, and then automatically for them the changes are done quickly as well. So that can actually sometimes create more sparks rather than ease, because we're changing kind of a lifetime situations at home, and everybody now has to kind of find the way to lean up to the new situation, so everything will go into working back together as a nice smooth kind of a mechanism at home. But the trouble is, some people are easy to adapt, some people are not. So then you will have to kind of start doing like relearning everything. So that's one of the things that people not actually talking about, that this is actually happening. Emptiness, that's another one. If we think through how much time we're spending when we're drinking, right? If we're talking about people which they actually doing, abusing alcohol pretty much heavily, so that will require as well time which you're spending for drinking. Now, if you take everything away from and you don't drink, now suddenly, which is not suddenly, it's just basically that's what happened. You are exchanging time from drinking to something. If it's nothing, comes out the boredom, or comes up majority cases kind of emptiness. And people are afraid of that too. If I'm not going to be drinking, what I'm going to be doing right now? So now, into ease of that situation comes up something that I have to find something to do. Maybe you spend more time with family. Maybe you got some hobbies you always wanted to do it. Maybe there is something you want to be going into the sports. So it has to be some kind of a preparations for them things, unfortunately, because once we dropping off from drinking and we trying to go sober, then automatically them situations are happening, and we actually being kind of a there's I would say there's not many people actually saying about them things, and you kind of rediscovering yourself on the way. And if you're a patient person, that's fine. But if you're someone which is, with a huge temper and, just like cannot very, you just can easily like spread out like a volcano or something, because you're becoming not happy with yourself because of this and that. And the trouble is, you're stepping up to the new territory that you don't know. And you're being afraid. And it's obvious, it's okay. We just human beings. That's one of the things. We feeling emotions, right? You're happy, you're sad, you're afraid, you're encouraged, all that stuff actually is mixed up with us. So this is what's going to happen as well. The time that shows up, the emptiness, and we have to try to fill that with something. So we're not going to be going back to our old habits, which in that case will be nothing else but drinking, which will take us exactly back to the situation that we've been before it. And even if coming up down to, okay, I go back to drinking now, so you're drinking again, so this is my, this is my spot, I know where I am, I've tried, it's okay, it doesn't work. These things, they have to be planned, unfortunately. And we have to kind of strip down everything to little bricks. There's a whole building of drinking. We have to just strip down to little bricks and see what could happen, to foresee the situation, to try to ease ourselves from it. But again, as I said, these are all them things no one is talking to you. I mean, you can go and speak to some people, but the subject is so huge to cover that really, really you could be surprised with things which will happen. And I'm telling you, we're about to speak about more and more today. So that will give you some kind of a picture how that exactly looks like. When you will stop drinking, unfortunately, what you're going to see is the people will disappear around you. Family is a different story, because these are the people you're coming back home after work or whatever you're doing in life, and they are always engaged in some kind of a evening, night activities with you, because it's obvious, right? Even if we do in works, schools, and places, whatever the activities are, we kind of meet together by the dinner or supper, and specifically on the weekend, we tend to spend a little bit more time with ourselves. So is totally different. But we're talking about the people right now. Work, well, it might be a case that if you've been having someone at work who was engaging with you, some kind of a drinking activities, then yeah, these people will be just shifting away from you because you're not doing something which was actually bonding you with them people, right? So they're going to be continue doing it, but you're not doing it anymore. So that means you're going to have even less subject and topics and stuff to talk about. And they as well going to be a little bit afraid of you because you're going to be kind of a lightning on them that they maybe have a problem with something, or maybe they thinking, or they're gonna be saying to themselves that I don't have that problem which you have, so I can still going out drinking and doing whatever we've been doing so far. You're not doing it, so you're not part of our group anymore. And even if you're gonna have some kind of a great relationship with that person or them people, if it's more than one, then unfortunately you're gonna be kind of a crossed off the list, right? Not part of the gang anymore, unfortunately. It's just because you're not doing what you've been doing with them together. The same as with the group of the people outside of work or outside of the house. You're gonna start losing them people because they would like to continue what they're doing and you're not. So then you will realize, unfortunately, that the only thing which was actually bonding you with them people is just drinking alcohol. And if you take the alcohol out, then people are disappearing because you're not going to be engaging with them anymore. So you're going to be engaging different activities. So you're actually shifting, twisting yourself away from them. And then you will realize that all what was actually common with them was just drinking. So there you go. That's another point. Friends, which you think they've been friends, maybe they're not actually friends, they just only drinking buddies. Or they're gonna stop accepting you just because you're not doing that anymore with them. So that's another thing that no one speak about it. Is there any perfect way or perfect solution for stopping yourself from drinking? It is not. I mean, what options do you have? Let's say you can go by yourself. So you're deciding, I'm gonna stop myself, I don't need any help. Then another option is for instance, some people are saying therapy, right? You can join AA, maybe you're going to some anonymous alcoholic meetings, or so some kind of a support groups. Some people like to read the books, getting the knowledge from there, which is pretty much part of doing by yourself. On Play Store, you can find some apps, apps which you can download on the phone, and then you can actually find in there as well community groups. The only difference on that one is some of them apps providing community groups which you actually have to like subscribe and pay some money. These tools are everywhere. Of course, there's a YouTube, maybe TikTok, maybe Facebook, maybe some kind of a groups in that social medias and places. Is it any of them as the best? The real answer for that one will be that depends on the individual, right? Some people are doing kind of a cleansing mode, I would say. So maybe they listen some podcasts, they watching some YouTube, maybe they doing that, and it's good enough for them and serve them. Some they deciding to go for some AA groups, and they have to actually meet someone, see someone, talk to someone, exchange some kind of a experience or feelings or whatever is involved in it. Some of them actually thinking that therapy is not good for me. I don't have enough guts, not enough courage to go and speak to, basically speaking, actually the people I don't know, some strangers, about my problems, and they like pretty much personal problems. There is no perfect way. There might be some statistics saying that if you do this, you have more chances to relieve yourself from problems. If you're not going to do it, I mean, everything depends truly from individual, actually, circumstances, and I would say your kind of a history. what was happening with you and how you approach the things, because everyone is different, right? Some people will say you have no chance without the therapy, but maybe that was the situation that this specific individual needed to go to the therapy to stop, right? Because even if someone does the therapy, it doesn't mean that that will completely you're gonna be safe. There's no such thing like being safe. You're never gonna be safe. That's why people later relapsing, for instance. You have 6 months, no drinking, no problem. Then you have one stupid thought somewhere and you decided, I will have just one. I'm sure after 6 months I'll be able to control it. Well, look at me, right? 6 months, nothing, I'm clean. 5 months, nothing, I'm clean. A year, I'm clean. 5 years, I'm clean. What worse could happen? Well, the trouble is, you touched it once and you're back. And you're back in action. And before you know it, you're going to be exactly in the same spot where you've been before you started. I mean, that's how we trained ourselves. That's how our, I would say, brain works as well. Once we put some substance and recognize what it is and how it goes, then, all the justification, that's another thing. I mean, there is plenty of people which they being on some apps when they using communities, and every time they relapse, they start like from day zero, or and then they like, oh, I'm back again in here and stuff. And sometimes it's not about trying to stop drinking, it's more like to justify yourself in terms of that you posting something and people are start telling you, oh, don't worry about it, you will get this, you've got this, you're gonna be better off, that's fine, try again, try again. But sometimes we get in a loop, in that situation that you're thinking if you post somewhere that will justify your action, so that gives you kind of a permission to fail again. It could be like that. I'm not saying that it's like for everybody, but unfortunately things like that happen. So as you can see, there are some people even which they do in therapies, they go into the therapy, everything's fine, you go in the meetings, you're doing the meetings, you're going home, and then suddenly at home you have suddenly nobody to talk to, nobody to push you, nobody's understanding your problems, nobody's down there to support you, and then you're drinking. And then a week later he goes to therapy, and so he's doing the therapies but he's still drinking. So everybody is different, everyone has an individual approach to it, everyone has a different history, everyone has a different circumstances, and everyone kind of fights different problems. They are the same problems, but they might be wrapped up in a different paper, right? So somebody has a bigger problem, somebody's got a smaller problems. Then you are actually reacting to some situations different way, right? Some people can calm themselves very quickly, no problem. Some people need time to cool off. So that's another thing. Everybody is different. There's no such thing like straight line. I mean, it is in terms of some people succeed very nicely, yeah, and they're not touching it. But this is technically speaking the kind of a little warriors fight between me and me, because at the end of the day, I am the one who actually decides to go to the left or to the right. And on one of them sides is alcohol, and on the other side, on one of them sides is actually no alcohol. And the line is so thin that it can be very, very easily break, but could be very, very difficult to come back on it. Isn't in that clean, clean path when you actually being where you want to be and doing how you really wanted to do it from the day one when you decided that you really want to stop drinking. Another thing is that you actually, when you're gonna stop drinking, you getting reborn. Because imagine how much alcohol was affecting your choices, and it doesn't matter if it's a job, or if it's a house, or if it's actually, the way how you've been doing relationships with your closest families, kids, whatever you name it, relatives. The thing is, when you are drinking, you kind of are not you, because you're acting completely different when you're sober and completely different when you drink. So there's like two individuals but living under the same roof, and there's a question, which one has more to say? So I like that saying, like someone says that within ourselves there's like two wolves, the good one and the bad one, and they both need to eat. And it's the question which one you're feeding more, right? So whoever gets stronger then it's got more to say. And then when you stop drinking, then basically speaking you start like kind of reinventing yourself, trying to get to know who you are, to understand who you are. Because sometimes, very often, we have a situation where people expect from us to be someone we don't want to be, right? And we kind of follow that path because it's like, yeah, 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 I'll do what she say, I do what he say, it's fine, it's okay, just like, just give me my time, my happy time in that perspective, so I can drink, so I don't care about this and that. And then we don't really know who we are. We don't really know who we are because we've given all the power to that addiction, to that alcohol, to speaks for us, and it's not speaking actually who we really are. I know that many people are just saying that if you would like to hear who's, whatever someone has to say, and if you want to hear them right, just give them a little bit of alcohol. So when they get drunk, they will start talking, and they will start talking actually how they're thinking. So there is many fights later right now because let's say when you sober, you don't say and you don't express yourself exactly who you are, but then when you drink you got that suddenly that courage stepping out from you, and like you need to shout out what you think and what you're not happy with or what makes you sad and stuff. So that is another thing that you have to kind of um, reborn yourself, and you will, because you start getting to know who you really are and what you're comfortable with and what you're not. And then that is the part of the recovery as well, because you're not recovering only your body, which that will be happening because first, depending how deeply you are with it. I mean, some people they get in some sweats, they have some kind of a dry hangovers in terms of that you're waking up, let's say on Saturday. So let's say on Fridays you've been drinking, Saturdays you've been drinking, and technically the whole weekend you've been going heavy. But then you're coming up on the first weekend which you don't drink, and you're waking up Saturday morning and you have a hangover, but you haven't drunk. You haven't drink nothing. What was going on? So because your body gets to kind of a routine, then actually that's what happens. So you have a situation like you fighting kind of with your body first, but then you've got some internally some emotions going with you, and you have to give the kind of a way of spit it out of everything from you. So all your kind of a realm, yourself, your body, and your mind and your soul and everything what you hear, everything what you feel has to kind of start working together. Just because you stop doing kind of a thing which was affecting a lot, now your body kind of needs to recalibrate, and then you're fighting with yourself. You're fighting with others because they don't probably understand you. You're fighting with yourself because you're learning something from about yourself. So you kind of trying to do that. You're kind of a new birth. You're not even probably aware of that, but that's what's happened with you. And now it's like kind of a double stress for you. So you're going in the right way, but you're going definitely up the hill, and it's not comfortable because you used to. I just drink. So everything felt like I'm going down the hill, no problem. As long as I got something to drink, I'll be fine, right? Just leave me a bottle, I'll be fine. But hey, that's one of the things there might not many people talking about as well when they kind of deciding not to drink, because there is a difference. I mean, when you start doing something and someone is already in some certain level, they kind of tend to forget about what they've been trying to do on the beginning, or whatever was happening to them for the beginning. It's just because they got so much into the habits of doing things right, they don't even think about it, because for them that becomes like breathing, right? Every time when you do something, you kind of get tired of it, and it's difficult for you. But believe me, later on when you get further and further, all that stuff becomes natural for you, because that's who you really are. Not drinking will have to start being something like creating a habit, right? So far you had a habit that you drink anytime you wanted to, or maybe anytime you plan to, because that's unfortunately what the people do. And then when you're creating new habit, it's going to be difficult on the beginning, because that's like something you're not doing naturally, right? So as I spoke about that breathing, so you don't think about it, you're just doing it automatically. But we have to kind of realize, like, every time in life when we're doing something, when we're coming up to stages, is something doing we're doing something for the first time, right? Think about it. First time you needed to go to school, you've been afraid, you didn't know what's going on. You didn't know if you're gonna make some friends, or maybe you apply with your friend to the same school, and then you end up in a different class. So you felt like all your life is just kind of collapsing right now, because you can't be together, but you maybe can see yourself on the break times. When you start your first job, for instance, the same. Or when you're changing job, you're going to the new place, you might be excited, or you again being scared, you don't know how it's gonna go. All these lifetime changes in your situations, you've been there somewhere first time, so that takes time. But listen, it's like after a few days, when you start going to new school, everything start being more familiar, because you're getting used to it, because it's actually creating itself as a habit. So then you end up in there for a few years. You have a new job, you end up in a few years, maybe you're doing some part-time. Anything like is new is strange. It doesn't feel right, it feels odd. And the same will be with drinking. So you go in for the 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. The more days you have, then stronger you start feeling about it, right? So that's one of the things as well. I mean, just like, give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. You didn't quit after the first day you didn't like at school, or you didn't quit the job because on the first day you didn't like it. You just come back on the next day and you give it another try and another try, and that's how basically them habits are growing within you. So the only trouble is, when you've been drinking, and let's say you've been drinking for 20 years or 25 years or 15 years, because let's say you started it when you've been, I don't know, 12, 14, that was natural thing for you to do. So that was actually creating as a habit. Now you have to do something different, which means you're not doing it anymore, right? Same as like with the car. You bought a car, one car is different to the other one. So you have to get used to it, to some stuff, and need to learn it, how to do things different way. The same will be here. A little bit of changes. I mean, majority cases, everything works on the same basis, but you will have to do things different way. And it's uncomfortable on the beginning. It's uncomfortable. You have to pass that moment when that uncomfortable, it becomes something natural, and then that will create itself as a habit, and now you can start winning. With all these emotions you're gonna have around yourself, which is you're sad, you're this and that, usually you've been dealing with the bottle, all right, or visiting a pub, or wherever you've been going to, and whatever the way how you've been doing it, that was the kind of a stress reliever, or whatever you've been thinking that way. But this time it's going to be different. This time is different, because now you have to find something else to relieve you. Okay, maybe it's a meditation, maybe it's a prayer. I mean, people pray as well, right, to calm themselves, or you have to go and jump on a push bike, and just ride somewhere, or maybe you go for a run, or maybe you go for the gym to release some stress, or maybe you do some kind of a home exercises. Anything will be the better way to just getting yourself clean up, because it will be like this. And this is like, every time on the beginning when you decide that you don't want to drink, anything will be telling you within you, so if I want to release my stress, I will have a one drink, I'll be fine, you know or go back to drinking, or thinking about the drinking, the way how you think about the drinking, everything will be kind of taking you into it. Within the first month, for instance, you might have something like kind of a, you're gonna be so power, you're gonna be so strong the first week, first 2 weeks, first 3 weeks, or maybe 4 weeks. that you decided that I got this. I know my path. I know where I want to go. I know what I want to do. And then the longer you're going through it, you're gonna start having some kind of a second thoughts from time to time, unfortunately. And now is the question, how you're gonna approach them thoughts. You know, sometimes you might give yourself 10 to 15 minutes, and that thought can go away. Sometimes you will need to work on yourself a little bit harder. But then again, these are the things not many people are speaking about. But we have to remember as well that everybody is different, right? That's a very important thing. Very important thing, and everyone will have kind of a different approach. Maybe some different things will be working for you. You know, some people are deciding to go have a hot bath, cold bath, cold shower, cold shower, whatever that's gonna be. The only thing which won't work, and it's 100% proven, if someone decides to not to drink alcohol, if you're going for zero alcohol, drinks. Well, technically speaking, you're not drinking alcohol, but there is always little tiny amount of alcohol based on how they're making that alcohol is actually could be in it. The taste could be a trigger, Some voices, situations, places, whenever you be that, all could be a trigger to it. Okay, so you try to keep yourself away from them situations. That's why on the beginning, for instance, we don't go to some kind of a, let's say some Christmas parties and play. Basically, you're avoiding any places when the alcohol is being poured. Now, I know there could be the situation is going to be very difficult to play with, like family meetings and stuff, especially if you're coming up from the family when they are drinkers, or when, let's say, one of the things not many people speak of is just like, let's say that you decide that you're not drinking anymore, but your partner does. Now, you're doing changes in your life, in a personal life, but what gives you the right to stop them as well? I mean, they don't want to stop, you want to stop, and now you have like kind of a internal kind of a conflict, because every time wherever you are, there is alcohol around you, so it's a high chance and high possibility that you will slip or you'll relapse, right? Or maybe they will be trying to convince you to drink. It's the same with friends, they will do it. I mean, it goes like this. On the beginning, they will try to break you because they don't believe in you that you can stop, right? Maybe for fun, maybe for whatever. Then they will have to have some kind of a reset in their heads, and they finally will realize that you don't drink. Yeah, but that will take time. And then it is the case that after that stage, there's a high chance that they will respect you for what you decided and what you do in it, but they might never tell you that. So that's another thing. So these are like hidden stages which they will be happening. Now the question is, if you decide to stay there, I want to be there, I want to make it right for myself, because that's what you're doing right now. And you have to remember one thing as well. You're not doing this for your family. You're not doing this for your wife, for your kids. You're doing it for yourself. That's one of the things. You're not doing it for your kids. You're not doing it for your wife. You're not doing it for your husband. You're doing it for yourself. So from that perspective, you will have to become a little bit selfish, because you kind of saving yourself, right? And you're giving yourself a chance for a better life. And in life without the alcohol, it is better life. And no one's going to tell you that. And it's other than that, because it is. Life without alcohol is totally different. It's a new level. It's not an easy level, but it is a new level. And everyone who drinks alcohol, and it doesn't matter if it's a large amount or small amounts, and it doesn't matter what kind of a social status you have, if you're rich, if you're poor, you're beggar, you whatever, it doesn't matter. Everyone can be attracted into the position that you cannot get away with it, and you will enslave yourself to it. That's how does it work. That's the alcohol, unfortunately. The end of the day, that is a poison. There's no such thing like safe amount. There's no proven health benefits from it as well. So I'm sorry, but there is no other way. these are the things which I covered that maybe it's going to be some useful for you. Maybe you are in a moment that you actually rethinking that you would like to stop drinking, or you don't know what to do, you know how to start. The advices you find everywhere, but at the end of the day, you need to understand that you need to do what's suitable for you, because everybody is different, everyone reacts different. You know, copy and paste might not work just because you're gonna do what your friend done, and that could work for your friend, but it's not gonna work for you. Maybe you will need twice as much more time, but when they did it, maybe you will do it faster, but you're gonna do it different way. I mean, that takes time. Healing takes time, and that's all you need to actually know. I hope that video was beneficial for you, right? I hope that maybe you heard something new, or even you heard already what you know, that actually repeating that kind of in the perspective that helps you with it. And believe me and trust me, you can be the king or a queen of sobriety yourself. I believe in you. I know it's possible. If anyone can do it, then you can do it. Now, if you would like to or interested with more, well, you know what to do. I'll leave you with it. And then I hope you're going to have a nice, sober evening. Take care of yourself. And I see you next time.